Y'all already know the rules. When you come in my house, take off your shoes and super violate that like button. It don't cost you nothing to hit that like button. Shall we begin? Shall we begin?
But here's the thing, right? And this is something that really can't be disputed. And I watched this from the outside looking in. Jeter had real serious street beef with a lot of very serious guys.
Who?
Jimmy Henchman.
They got spanked. Nigga, are you crazy? They got spanked. What is wrong with you?
What do you mean they got spanked?
Yo, Vlad, please, trust me when I'm telling you this. I don't really want to go into all this, but they got spanked. What is wrong with you? Jimmy had his way. People died. What are you talking about?
Jimmy had his way?
What are you talking about?
I mean, Yayo's house got shot up over that situation. I understand that. But ultimately...
Think about what you're saying and think about what happened.
Meaning what? That Jimmy's doing double life?
Listen, in that situation, that situation, they wasn't a victor in that situation, brother. Okay, so it...
But I feel like these guys stood their ground.
Who stood what ground?
I think G-Unit stood their ground.
You don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Okay.
And it's easy to go for with the folklore. What else? Who else?
World?
You don't even know World. World is my childhood friend.
Okay.
Listen, this is things... He wasn't
They didn't have beef with World?
Listen, that wasn't no...
The shooting that happened after the Hot 97?
Listen, this is when I don't even want to get into it.
Okay.
One incident happened, right? You think you really into it with somebody with one incident?
Suge Knight?
Yo, bro,
The
listen.
stabbing incident at the Vibe Awards?
Yo, listen. All I'm saying is I don't have no reason to believe the extra gangster shit. You believe whatever you want to believe. I ain't here to tell you.
But we're talking about actual incidents. We saw the video at the Vibe Awards, right?
What happened at the Vibe Awards?
The guy that attacked them and ended up getting stabbed.
Attacked who?
Attacked Dr. Dre.
What
Who was with them?
What they had that? Yo, bro.
They were there with Dr. Dre.
Yo, bro, leave me.
They were signed to Dr. Dre.
Yo, bro, listen to me. I'm not gonna debate you on another man. All I'm speaking from my perspective, and it is what it is. Like, I don't have no reason to believe nothing extra. Those incidents that you talking about, whatever. You know what I'm saying? People lost a lot. Like, look, it don't even matter to me, right? Look, like I said, you.
Whoa. Whoa. This is what I might title of that, A Dangerous Conversation. And I gotta say, I kind of like how Maino handled himself in this situation, in this conversation. Because this conversation is a conversation that can get you hurt. The names, the players, the situations. If you know, you know. I'll give you an example. I've heard Yayo and others, in the streets talk about the situation where Tony Yayo slapped, roughed up Jimmy Henchman's son. And one of the dudes that was with Yayo, Lodi Matt. Let's just say, make a long story short, Jimmy Henchman got his revenge. And that's what Maino was talking about. And see, this is public information. That's the only reason why I'm speaking on it. So don't be sitting up there talking about, oh, the nigga ratting and dropping name. It's public information. Jimmy Henchman is in jail for it. So a nigga could talk about it. But at the same time, these kind of conversations, especially coming from somebody like Vlad is out of line in these conversations. And this is no disrespect to you, Vlad. I'm rocking with you. But at the same time, you out of your lane talking about these conversations because you knee deep high in some gangster shit. Because that's what this is. And Vlad is a get money nigga. He's not a gangster. You see what I'm saying? And having these conversations, I have street dudes come back to the streets and turn the nigga TV off. That's just being real. So I could understand why Maino is playing the situation the way he's trying not to get into stuff, because what you say on this internet, I respect to the 10th power how Maino was handling himself in this conversation, because he's trying not to trip over the booby traps that Vlad is throwing out there in this conversation. Because what you say on this internet, you can't take back. And regardless of what, it becomes your testimony. And sometimes being in front of the camera, you might get slick with your mouth and your ego might step in. Maino was very disciplined in this conversation right here because he could have said a whole lot. He said what he said without saying nothing. Vlad tried his best to entangle, entrap, put Maino in the headlock with this conversation. Maino stood his ground. Stood his ground and he did good. Me personally, I would have just spelled everything out. Why? Because it's public record already. It is what it is. Once it hit the internet, Maino wasn't the first one, but I respect how Maino handled it. Now, when it comes to G-Unit, right? 50, the Dr. Dre situation, Young Buck. Something jumped off with Sugar and they crew. A nigga came at Dr. Dre, and Young Buck poked something up. In the streets, you win some and you lose some. One thing I will say about the streets, and I hate when dudes be sitting up there talking about, oh, that's why you got shot. Some of the illest niggas that I know is not here today. The dudes that's still alive is more softer than the dudes that got their TV turned off. Put it in the cut. If you're from the streets, drop a name and put a rest in peace to a nigga that you wish was still here that was a get busy nigga. If you from the streets and you watching this, and you know, even in some cases, I could show you cases where, like a brother, like Mulak from Coney Island, that nigga was so ill, they sent the 12-year-old kid to hit him. The niggas his age didn't do it. They couldn't get up on him like that. They was too scared. Them niggas was too scared. They sent the 12-year-old kid to hit a legend. And it bees like that the same way when you watch Omar from The Wire. So it don't take, listen, man. 50 ain't the illest nigga, but 50 been through some battles. He been through some wars. And regardless to what, whether he lost or not in some of these battles and wars, you can't take his stripes away from him. You can't take that away. Just like, listen, man, let me say this about Maino, right? Don't never let nobody tell you that I hate Maino. Me and Maino be kicking it. I like Maino. It's just that my only fear is when me and Maino get around each other, he might feel some type of way about something that I said, and I got to stand my ground. Me and Maino both got egos. He's that Brooklyn nigga. I'm that Bronx nigga. But overall, I like Maino. So don't get it twisted up. Just because you see me talking about topics, y'all got to get out of y'all feelings. Just because you see me correcting a nigga or speaking bad about a certain situation that I might have seen him do, don't mean overall that I don't like the brother. Even with Jim Jones, love his music. There's certain things I didn't like about him. But it doesn't mean overall I don't like the man. So, in the streets, you win some, you lose some. You might lose a battle today, but you might win the war later on. And right now, 50 won the war. The nigga made it to the finish line. Everything that he did or he didn't do. Do you know how hard it is to discipline yourself? And I'm going to say this, right? 50 Cent is $500 million. Do you know how hard it is for a nigga of his level not to push a button? To be disciplined. When you know you got all the hitters behind you. 50 had all of the new shooters behind him. Ready to put that work in. But he also knew that if he said, like, I'll give you a prime example. When it got to the early 90s, 93, 94, Sex Money Murder, the original Sex Money Murder, not the corny blood set. And I said it, the corny blood set. Niggas is corny. The original Sex Money Murder was an unstoppable force until they got into the interrogation room. Pistol had the power to push a button to get anybody hit that he wanted to because he had a bunch of niggas that was willing to put that work in until they got in the quiet room. Once they got behind that quiet room and that quiet desk with them detectives, them niggas started, cry me a river. They started singing. So now 50, being the man that he is, he actually sat back and watched some of the niggas that was down with Jimmy Henchman Some of the niggas that was down with Supreme from the Supreme team tell on them. 50 played his cards right. Because if he would have abused his power and proved Maino and other niggas in the streets wrong and started having everybody's TV turned off, he wouldn't be sitting on top of the world right now. Hassan Campbell. I don't know who shot me. But what I do know is that I could roll up in Bronx River with cameras on every corner and catch them dirty, dusty niggas sitting right in front of the corner store, rolling up that backwood and smoking away. And then on the weekends, they like to get drunk and fall out on the cars. And it's so easy. But 10 years down the line, after I send a Uda, and he decide that, nah, this nigga living out there good and I want to get home, I want to see a date. Then he get behind that wall and he start calling the district attorney and saying, let's make a deal. When niggas get tired of doing the bid, they play the game called let's make a deal. That's why at some point in some time, 50 was rolling around with all of the police officers and military men. You know why? Because he converted from that street nigga. He survived those streets being shot 9 times. He got God. And he went on to be one of the biggest icons in America. What greater victory than that? As far as the streets go, I get what Maino was saying. When Maino was in jail, Maino was a different type of nigga. He was getting busy. Niggas always bringing up, boxing ball cut Maino. Yeah, boxing ball cut Maino. And Maino cut him first. Not only that, Maino don't listen. I be dogging Maino out because it's the ego thing between the two of us. But let me tell you something right now, my nigga. Maino was one of the first predicate cutters on Rikers Island. Terry, he was ripping everything. He wasn't a sucker. It is what it is. In the streets, you win some, you lose some. But at the end of the day, when Maino came out with that song, and he dissed all of them industry niggas, because he did, he also had to face all of them industry niggas the same way I'm going to face them at some point in some time. And you know what's going to happen? When they face me, nothing. It is what it is. That's my take on the situation. This was a dangerous conversation. Because there's people, family members that's sitting in the cut that, the way Vlad is throwing it out there, like, they stood their ground. Yeah, there's people sitting at home watching TV. They don't like this conversation. That's my take on the situation. But like I said, put it in the comment section. Where you from? What town you from? How old are you are? And a rest in peace to the nigga that you know was that nigga. Because some of the niggas we know that's dead is more realer than the niggas that's alive. I'm out.